Alright, hi. Today's reading is the Instruction Manual 0230100101, Revision 01. This is the implementation of National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA. U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Department of Homeland Security Officer, Chief Readiness Support Officer. Alright, issue date, table of contents, list of acronyms. List of acronyms, definition, introduction, managing NEPA, implementation, decision making, integration, NEPA, and the Department of Homeland Security missions. Primary component, contact components, activity requiring notification is SEP, calibration, distribution, resolution, EPA, HPA, decision support system, public involvement, U.S. contractor performance, metrics, reporting requirements, review, other agencies, NEPA documents, supplemental instruction delegation authority, administrative records requirements, procedure implementation, NEPA, overview, NEPA requirements, categorical exclusion, extraordinary circumstances, environmental assessment, environmental impact statements, emission mitigation monitoring, cooperating joint lead agency relations, NEPA analysis and writing, emergency actions, security lives and protect property, determining NEPA, applicability for NEPA, to describe notification as SEP, determination, NEPA, evaluation, review of application for person or organization outside the Department of Homeland Security. Appendix A, Department of Homeland Security category, exclusions. Appendix B, the list of environmental planning requirements for other than NEPA. Appendix C, requirements of environmental consideration template for categorical excluded actions. Alright, Cat X is categorical exclusion, Cat Q, CAQ, Council Environmental Quality, CFR, Code Federal Regulation, DEIS, Draft Environmental Impact Statement, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, EA, Environmental Assessment, EAI, Environmental Impact Statement, EO, Executive Order, EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, EP and HP, Environmental Planning and Historic Preservation, EPHPDSS, and E is Environmental Planning Historical Preservation Decision Supporting System, EPPM, Environmental Planning Program Management, FEIS, Final Environmental Impact Statement, FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, FONSI, Finding of Non-Significant Impact, FR, Federal Register, HQ, Headquarters, MOA, Memorandum of Agreement, NEPA, National Environmental Policy Act, NOA, Notice of Availability, NOI, Notice of Intent, OCRSO, Office of Chief Readiness Support Officer, OGC, Office of General Counsel, OPA, Office of Public Affairs, PEA, Programmatic Environmental Assessment, PIS, Program Environmental Impact Statement, REC, Record Environmental Consideration, ROD, Record Decision, SEA, Supplemental Environmental Assessment, SEIS, Supplemental Environmental Impact Statement, SEEP, Sustainable Environmental Programs, U.S., United States, USC, United States Code. Alright, definitions. All contained in the Council Environmental Quality Regulation for the implementation provisions, procedural provision, National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, Title 40 Code Federal Regulations, Part 1500 through 1508, apply to these instruction manual. Definitions of the Council Environmental Quality Regulations. Some of the terms, phrases that are more commonly used in the instruction manual are provided below with an easy reference. Additional terms and phrases not defined in this Council Environmental Quality Regulations are defined below. Actions. A plan, project, program, policy, rule, regulation, procedure, legislative proposal discussed in Title 40 CFR 1508-18. Subject to Homeland Security Control Responsibility. Projects include activities approved by permit, other regulatory decision, as well as federally assisted activities, e.g. grant. Best management practices, generally accepted applied measurement of practice with less than adversely affect the actions of the human environment. Control of stormwater flowing through the construction site to reduce impact of water quality. Categorical exclusion, as defined in Title 40 CFR 1508-4, activities that do not need to undergo detailed environmental analysis of the environmental impact, environmental assessment, environmental impact support, because of the activities as determined normally would not have potential individually cumulative to have significant effect with the human environment. Agencies are defined with the categories such as if activities away reduce the unnecessary paperwork and delay. Categorical exclusions are defined by unique to and each federal agency, Department of Homeland Security. They may be established for the department as a whole individual component. Department of Homeland Security, certainly with the categorical exclusion, see Appendix A, Table 1, or to note with the asterisk requires preparation of recorded environmental considerations as ACT restrict denotes clauses actions higher possibility involving extraordinary circumstances. A component is defined with the Department of Homeland Security Directive 25201, organization of the Department of Homeland Security organization, which reports directly to the Office of the Secretary. The Department of Homeland Security will approve of such secretary the inclusion of both the operational component support, also known as headquarter components, for purpose of the instruction Office of the Secretary constitute the component with a list of major components making of the Department of Homeland Security available to the Department of Homeland Security website, dhs.gov/department/components. Component supplemental instructions. A written policy directive to describe the components to implement the requirement of the Department of Homeland Directive 202301 for instruction manual with the representative of the organization criteria for the component of the supplemental instructions to provide within Section 4, Part K. Cooperating agency. As defined in Title 40 CFR 15085, the federal agency other than lead agency which has jurisdiction, law, special expertise with respect to any environmental impact involved with the purpose of the reasonable alternative for the legislation either other than major federal activity significantly affecting the quality of the human environment. The state and local agencies, similar qualifications or tribe may be agreement with lead agencies that also become cooperative agencies. Participation cooperative agencies are not limited to preparation of environmental impact statements. May also be appropriate for the cooperative agencies to participate within preparation of environmental assessments. Council Environmental Quality, CEQ, Title II of the National Environmental Policy Act. Established council with the executive order with the president oversee the implementation of the act. With the council is assigned with the president with the vice, with the consent with the senate, with the president with the designated with the chairman. Council environmental quality responsibility include appraisal for the federal government programs, activities light to policies set forth in Title I National Environmental Policy Act. That formulating recommendation national policies to promote improvement of the quality of environment. Cumulative impact. As defined in Title 40 CFR 15087, the impact of the environmental which result in the impact of the action which, and when added to other paths of the president, is responsible for foreseeable future actions, regardless of what agency, federal or non-federal person undertakes such action. Cumulative impacts can result in individual minor but collectively significant actions taking place over a period of time. Decision maker, see proponent, department, the Department of Homeland Security, which unless otherwise specified includes all components of thereof. Effects is defined in Title 40-15088. The effects of the proposed actions include ecological, such as effects of the natural resource of the component structures functioning the affected ecosystem, aesthetic, historic, cultural, economic, social, health, and whether direct, indirect. The cumulative effects may also include those resulting from actions which may have beneficial to detrimental effects. Effects of the impacts of using the cumulative environmental quality regulations. These instructions are synonymous. Effects of the national concern, the effect of the high quality or the function over the effect of the resource because of the wide geographical range of the effect of the climate change could create concern beyond the locale and region of proposed action, but as well with effects that may occur with a geographic region of the U.S. from program proposed actions. Emergency, natural, man-made disaster or other phenomena with the exemption of the inevitability or irresistibility characteristics demanding immediate action for the protection of human life, public safety, public health, with environment avoidance of the significant loss of the property. If it relates to one or another factors, this includes but not limited to the simulation triggering an emergency with a major disaster declarations by President under the Stafford Act. See also Title 40-1506-11. Emergency action needed to respond with the control of the impact of the emergency. The definition does not include long-term recovery actions. Environmental assessment, defined in Title 40-1508-9 with a concise publicly documented federal agency responsible to serve the briefly provide sufficient evidence analysis determining with the prior environmental impact statement finding non-significant impact agency complying with the Nepa with the environmental impact statement is necessary facility preparation environmental impact statement, which one is necessary environmental impact evaluation. This process determines the level of significant potential impact of the human environment that includes all of the necessary studies for the constellation public environmental need to analyze the potential environmental impact proposed action, assigned value level of the impact with a minor, moderate, major for the consider the mitigation determination level significant, whether significant or not. Environmental impact evaluation result of the application of the categorical exclusion documentation form of the final environmental assessment finding no significant impact or final environmental impact evaluation is necessary for the major part of the NEPA process, the National Environmental Protection Act process defined in Title 40 CFR 15081 1508-21, but not normally fully a conclusion with the NEPA of the process for the environmental impact evaluation, environmental analysis, with the instruction manual are synonymous. Environmental impact statement that defined in Title 40 CFR 1508-11, the detailed written statement required within Section 102C3 of the NEPA. Environmental Planning Historic Preservation Decision Support System, or EP and HPDSS, Automated System Standardization, improvement the efficiency of the effect of the National Environmental Policy Act. Analysis proposed against the within DHS, the Environmental Planning Historic Preservation Decision Support System is owned and operated by the OCRSO SCEP, the department-wide utilization. Alright, environmental planning program manager for the designated of the component of the proof of the supplemental instruction primary point of the contact component of the responsible for the conservation SEP of the NEPA matters where have the authority to oversee for the implementation of the Department of Homeland Security Directive 02301 instruction manual on the respective organization. Ones that do not have the EPPM director SCEP serve the EPPM or emergency planning program manager. Environmental sensitive area. An area designated by law, regulation, executive order with merit, special protection, stewardship, and because of the value of the natural, historical, cultural resources. Examples include but are not limited to proposed the designated with the critical habitat, threatened, and endangered species property listed on the eligible listing the National Register of Historical Places and are having special designated recognition as primary unique agricultural lands or coastal zones designated wilderness study area of the wild scene and rivers 100-year floodplain, wetland, sole source aquifers, marine sanctuary, national wildlife refuge, national parks, national monuments, essential fish habitats, etc. Extraordinary circumstance evaluation whether or not to apply with the what is that? Categorical exclusion. Categorical exclusion proposed accounting of the circumstances associated with the proposed action might give the significant environmental effects for the requiring further analysis documented with the environmental assessment, environmental impact statement. Finding no insignificant impact, defined in Title 40 CFR 1508-13, the document of the federal agency briefly presenting the reasons for the action unauthorized. Title 40 CFR 1508-4 will not have significant effect with the human environment of which the environmental impact says for. Statement therefore will not be prepared. Human environment is defined in Title 40 CFR 1508-14. Natural, physical, environmental relationship, people of the environment, impacts, the effects, Indian tribe, national, environmental tribe, or American, Native American tribe or tribe, Indian tribe, band, nation, people, other organized group, community, including Alaska Native ethnic, which is federally recognized by Secretary of the Interior through the listing by the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Jurisdiction by law to define in Title 40, 1508-15 with the agency authority for the approve of the veto with the financially all part of the proposal. Lead agency is defined in Title 40, 1508-16 agency preparing have taken primary responsibility preparing environmental impact, environmental statement, environmental assessment. Major federal action defined in Title 40's 1508. 18 actions effective may be major, which potentially subject federal control, reasonability. Major reinforcements does not have the meaning many independent significant Title 40 Federal Register, Code Federal Register 1508. 27 actions include the circumstances responsible, official failure to act, the failure to act, review of the courts of the administrative tribunals, over the Administrative Procedure Act, other applicable laws, the agency's actions, see Title 40 CFR 1508, 18 for full detention. Mitigation actions, theory for the actions which may be the ongoing sustain with the reduce the probability, lessen the impact with the adverse effect of the quality of the human environment. The example of the way of the mitigate the impact of the human environmental to provide with the Title 40 CFR 1508, 20, avoiding the impact altogether but not taking a certain action for the parts of the action. Minimize impact with limiting the degree and magnitude of action, but the implementation rectifying the impact by repairing, rehabilitation, restoring the effect of the environment, reducing and eliminating impact over time by preservation, maintenance operations during the life of the action, compensating impact, replacing, providal substitute. Resource environmental mitigation may also include the utilization best management practice for the adaptive management appropriate. Our National Environmental Policy Act. The Public Law 91-190 is amended with the National Public Agency Policy with the encouragement of productive enjoyment and harmony between humans and environment. National Environmental Policy Act requires the federal officials to consider the environmental values alongside technical and economic consideration of the decision document. The National Environmental Policy Act document of the DHS, record of EA, SEA, PEA, FONISI, NOA, NOI, EAIS, SEIS, PEIS, Legislative Environmental Impact Statement, the record of document, any other document prepared pursuant with the requirement of the National Environmental Policy Act of categorical examine environmental qualification regulations. Department of Homeland Security 02301 or this instruction manual. This includes environmental documentation defined in Title 40 CFR 1508 810. Alright, your National Environmental Protection Agency process. National Environmental Protection Act. National Environmental Policy Act. Effort required to systematically adjust for the environmental stewardship compliance requirement of set forth in the Nepa during the program project of the planning, the development, the design prior to the execution of the proposed action, of the protecting, sustaining, restoring quality of human environment. The process consists of the wholly and part of the scope of the development and consideration, proposed action alternatives, environmental impact evaluation, consideration, mitigation, monitoring, and successful consultant relation, public involvement. This includes the National Environmental Policy Act process defined in Title 40 CFR 1508-21. Notice of availability, NOA, formal notice published with the Federal Register announcing the issue of the public availability of the draft of the Environmental Impact System of the ROD. The Environmental Protection Agency published the notice of availability of the official public action notification of the Environmental Impact Statement. Notice of intent is defined in Title 40, 1508-222. Notice of the Environmental Impact Statement will be prepared and considered. The Office of Chief Readiness Support Officer of the OCRSO, the Office of Support, the Environmental Chief Readiness Support Officer for the organization located managemental director of the Department of Homeland Security, defined in the Department of Homeland Security Directive 0100 organization of the Office of Undersecretary of Management, Department of Homeland Security Directive 0004 Administrative Service Line Business and Immigration Management Succession of these directives. Office of General Counsel, your OGC, the Office of Support to General Counsel defined in the Department of Homeland Security 252-01, Chief Legal Officer for the Final Legal Authority, Department of Homeland Security, have the approach to pay with the design side any legal matter for the Department of Homeland Security, for the matters and scope of the Inspector General Authority of the General Counsel, and includes the Department of Homeland Security Headquarters Attorney, together with the Attorneys of Law, with the component legal office nominated with the Office of Chief Counsel, Office of the Principal Legal Office Advisor, Office of Judge, Advocate General, and otherwise. All right, proponent, a Department of Homeland Security federal employee identified with the program project management proposed action subsequent to the National Environmental Policy Act review. Proponent is also a decision maker for proposed action. Proponent reasonably defined with the reason for the proposed action, he with immediate authority to decide with the courts for the action. Authority recommended with the courts for the action for the among the option. Next higher organizational level, the district region for the headquarters of the approval. The proponent normally has the authority to establish the total estimate sort of the requirements of the proposed action execution phase of the authority to direct the use of resource the proponent does not have the personally perform the environmental impact evaluation or have the National Environmental Policy Act expertise, but in responsible to ensuring the National Environmental Policy Act compliance before committing the Department of Homeland Security as a particular course of action includes responsibility with the support from either the Environmental Protective Program Manager from completion of the appropriate National Environmental Policy Act documentation. Record of the decision, or your ROD, the concise public record of the decision described in Title 40 CFR 15052. Prepare conclude with the process of preparing environmental impact statement. The record of the decision, notice availability, published with the Federal Register. The record of the decision need not to be unique, separate document, formal public record of the decision otherwise issued, as long as formal public record meets requirements of Title 40 15052. For example, grant award documents permits may suffice a record of decision that may have the requirements of Title 40 CFR 15052. Record of Environmental Consideration, or REC. The internal Department of Homeland Security Administration document records the Department of Homeland Security category exclusion, Appendix A, Table 1, to specific proposals. The record of environmental consideration is recorded application of the category exclusion identified with an appropriate asterisk. Appendix A, Table 1, Instruction Manual. Record of environmental consideration normally prepared with and maintained electronically with the environmental planning, historical planning, and the Department DSS. Alright, your Secretary, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Significance, using the National Environmental Policy Act, the process of evaluation, significant requires consideration both context and intensity. Context may be the significance of the action and analyze several contexts. Society as a whole, effective of the region, the effect of the interest of the locality. Significant varies with the setting of the proposed action. Intensity refers to severe impact of Title 40 CFR 1508, 2, and 7. Full definition, special expertise defined in Title 40 CFR 1508-26, the agency's statutory responsibility, mission-related program experience. Sustainability environmental programs. Program management area with the organization of the Office of Chief of the RSO, Management Director of Homeland Security's headquarters, and the Sustainable Environmental Programs responsible oversight of the implementation of the National Environmental Policy across the Department of Homeland Security. Alright, 3, introduction, and then we'll cut the tape. Alright, introduction. The Department of Homeland Security Instruction Manual Plan of the implementation of the National Environmental Policy Act with Instruction 023010101 together with the Department of Homeland Security Directive 02301 Implementation of the National Environmental Policy Act hereafter for the Instruction Manual Directive established for the policy pursued by the Department of Homeland Security follows to comply with the National Environmental Policy Act of 1969 and the 1242 United States Code 4321 E10 sequence and the Council of Environmental Quality and with the Regulation and Implementation Procedural Provision of the National Environmental Policy Act, the Title 40 CFR, Parts 1508, 1500 to 1508, Instructions served by the Department of Homeland Security, Implementation Proceeded with the National Environmental Policy Act required with the Title 40 CFR, Parts 15051 and 15073. 3. For supplemental with the Council of Environmental Quality Regulations, there must be read with conjunction with them the directive of this instruction manual that are available at the Department of Homeland Security website, Department of Homeland Gov/NEPA statutes, and Council the Council of Environmental Quality Regulations are available to the Council of Environmental Quality Department of Energy Gov Index HTML. For your National Environmental Policy Act with the basic job of the foundation, stewardship, and environmental research of the United States with the implement public set forth with the National Environmental Policy Act with the Act, Congress prescribed the procedure with the commonly referred to with the National Policy Act process for the federal agency to file with the National Policy Act process for the planning with the decision-making tools of the help federal agency the decision matter substantially systematically identify the evaluate potential environmental impact of the proposed actions prior to making decisions in the National Environmental Policy Act processes encourage public involvement in the decision that would affect the quality of the human environment, including identification and evaluation of responsibility alternative to the proposed actions that would minimize adverse environmental impacts. Generally, the National Environmental Policy Act apply the federal actions to that affect the human environment within the Department of Homeland Security. The National Environmental Policy Act generally applies to actions undertaken to funding with the permitted otherwise approved with the Department of Homeland Security, including the activity wholly initiated with the Department of Homeland Security, executed by the Department of Homeland Security under the direction of the Congress, proposed by the person or organization outside of the Department of Homeland Security, require approval of the funding, a license, or permit for the Department of Homeland Security. Requirements for the instruction manual apply with the execution of all the National Environmental Policy Act. The activities have been prescribed by the Department of Homeland Security. Components and proponents of the program, project activities, implementation requirement, the directive of the instruction manual, consultation with representative of the environmental planning program manager, definition of the environmental program manager, and the C Section 2 and Section 4 of the Part K, Office of General Counsel, the Director of Sustainable Environmental Programs, and when appropriate, with a reference for the government organization regulation of the instruction manual will include the succeeding organization requirements. All right, Part 4, Managing National Environmental Policy Action Act Implementation. We're going to cut the tape there.